Hi, welcome, Fabian. And it's so good to have you here, Ori Leaders. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. I talked to you before at the Golden Future Party, and I'm so excited to speak with you again. So for those people that aren't very familiar with you, can you just introduce yourself, tell us your name, what you do, and what you're here to speak on?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. My name is Fabian Graf. I am from Belgium originally. I've been in Miami for 24 years. And I'm going to be speaking about finding purpose, how important it is, following it, how even more important it is, and be passionate in life, all connected with purpose and vision.
All good stuff, all stuff that these striving leaders and entrepreneurs and people that are just wanting to change the world really need. So before we really dive into that, if you can tell me what this golden age means to you and how that differentiates from the current age that we've been in the past, like what does that mean to you?
Well, this golden age is an age of going deeper within ourselves with so much information that's available right now, and I think humanity is on the verge of recreating itself. One person at a time. So I recreated myself multiple times in my life, but I think this time is a new recreation that's very different, that's more meaningful, that's purposeful, and I think humanity is coming together with an understanding that it's more than just ourselves. It's ourselves, the planet, other people. So there's a magnitude that's different about the perception of it.
Absolutely. And when we start with ourselves, there's that ripple effect, right? To everyone else as a collective.
Sure.
Yeah. And what are the biggest shifts that you feel we have to see as individuals and as a society to really just fully make the best of this golden age?
Well, one of the biggest one is the being selfish or self-centered. I think is the shift from what's in it for me, all little me, or how can I save myself versus how can I actually help save the environment or the people around me. How can I serve, essentially? I think it really, that's the shift from me to everyone.
That's very powerful. How can I serve? So what happens when we ask that question? When we ask ourselves that question, how can I serve? What do you feel is like the internal shift that happens?
Well, I asked that question many times, and I didn't know. I mean, I didn't have an answer, actually. And when I asked myself that question, I was 45 years old. How can I serve? What am I passionate about? And I didn't really have an answer. I felt very odd. Actually, I felt scared.
Yeah.
I felt terrified to continue my life without a purpose, without something that was a driving force. And it took me to really get clear. And to get clear, I stopped drinking completely. I wasn't a big drinker, but just even a glass of wine here and there was altering my connection with myself. And so I need to really understand, I need to reconnect my brain to my heart and to really understand what I was passionate about and what it meant ultimately for me, because it's different for everyone. So it took me to do the work and be courageous enough to keep on going, even if I wasn't sure where I was going.
Yeah, so that question alone was powerful enough to be like, hey, the best way you can serve is by helping yourself so that you can then later do other work, right?
Sure.
Because it took you to this, it seems like a whole transformational process.
Well, I had to find myself.
To find yourself.
I had to do my own work first before I can start helping others, clearly.
Yeah, because we can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right.
Love that. So, okay, now we started talking about purpose, and that's what your topic is here at Ori Leaders, right? Finding your purpose. What would you say to someone who is conflicted about what their purpose is, or maybe feels like, okay, there's two possible things that I can be doing, I can't see them merging, I feel split. What would you say to that person?
I think for me it was a lack of clarity.
Yeah.
And I wasn't clear. I was quite shallow about a lot of different topics, and I was failing to listen to my heart. And it's interesting because I've always known that when I follow my heart, it was always on point. And then there were times in my life where I had doubts, and I decided to follow my doubts instead of following my heart. And I think it's I would say probably get out of your head, get into your heart. And I know it sounds kind of cliche or easy. We've all heard that. Going through it, actually experiencing it, was very different. It was, for me, definitely harder than hearing it is easy. Going through it, finding the pathway, and finding the courage to move forward, and doing the work with clarity, that was for me the challenge, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I was back and forth many times in my life before I really dove deep. So yeah. Did I answer your question?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think that following the heart can be scary because the heart isn't logical. So we want to listen to the logical mind of like, well.
Are you talking to a man?
yeah. I think women can flow with that more. Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's like, but what's the logic, and how am I going to make money, and how am I going to support myself, and how am I really going to make a change, or I can't do that. So I think that's where people get, like, one of the reasons people get stuck as well, because it's like, that sounds amazing, but I don't know how I'm really going to be capable of that. And that's, I guess, where you just really drop in, and maybe more like also like a surrendering process. Would you say? Would I just surrender to?
Yeah, I think there's this mind frame that's been embedded on us through society, and so we're born and raised in it, so it's very difficult to dissociate ourselves from what we think we know, and to start understanding. I think one of the questions that was interesting was like, if I didn't have to make money, what would I do? If I had all the money in the world, like, what would I just love to do? And that gave me a lot of insight.
Yeah.
That led me to the path, essentially, the discovery of the path where I am today.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's a very powerful question. So we let money hold us back.
Yeah, money or status, or just the way we perceive people looking at us. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, love that. So, okay, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before the interview, but I would love to hear maybe a methodology or a process that you may have, any practical steps that anyone watching right now or listening to us right now can follow, and that will lead them to finding their purpose and their mission in this world.
So I'd say, first of all, get clear.
Yes.
Clear-minded. So a lot of people drink or use substances. Now people smoke pot everywhere. It's kind of like this society thing again altogether. But I would say get completely clean. That helps the brain to really think through clearly. Probably get into isolation or get into nature, where we can stop the environment, the day-to-day, the job, the making money, basically the rat wheel, and to be able to reflect and feel ourselves. And so for me, that was COVID really hit. At the moment when it hit, the beauty of it is that I was able to just stop everything and be with myself. Yeah. And I realized I had not done that really meaningfully in a long time. At least not for a long period of time. Get very clean was beautiful. From there, I started dreaming vividly again. Then I found the strength to journal again. And then I started meditating again. And it was all this process that was back to back, which just got me deeper with myself. And then I went into nature. And I went into nature in the mountains of Colorado. And nature is just this amazing way of healing. I mean, I've been in nature many times in my life, but this time was like very different. It was just magnificent. Wow, yeah. I miss it. Well, thank God I'm going soon, but you know, I wish we had some mountains and forest here in Florida.
That's all we're missing.
You don't feel the same. It's not the same environment.
Yeah.
You know, when you have like the the water. I mean, we have a lot of water, but like running rivers, beautiful trees, animals, biodiversity everywhere. It's just a different sensation. And then from there, ask the hard questions. Asking myself or asking ourselves, what are we really doing? What's our purpose? What are we passionate about? What do we love? It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what's coming out of those questions, and from there assess and trying to find, whatever is there for ourselves.
Okay. And earlier, did you say do psychedelics or not? I can't remember.
Well, I did, yeah. Well, in my path, I happened to use psychedelics, not in a recreational way, but in a spiritual way, going into it for questioning. And my biggest one was when I went to Tepoztlan in Mexico, and it was during a full moon.
Yeah.
Full moon is something that activates me, that I'm really aware of now. And I felt, when I booked that trip, I felt ahead of time. I knew the trip was going to happen during the full moon, during a full eclipse, and I knew that I was going to find something. So I took some mushrooms with me, and I went into this questioning with myself. So I took the mushroom. I was laying down on the grass. The full moon was like massive, and I started asking the moon, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, literally, I didn't know. Like, I had no clue. I mean, I knew too much. I didn't know what to choose from. And so the moon was like, you know what to do. You do it now. You don't wait. Yeah. And it was this powerful, borderline aggressive message for 3 hours, pounding. It was, definitely didn't expect that one. And I went into this ceremony with intention of clarity and vision. And then I woke up the next day with no clarity and no vision. No. Yeah, I was like, wow, I did all of this, like, for what? And so I just kind of kept on going. I didn't overly question it. And the next day when I woke up, I was laying and I was thinking, my heart was telling me there's something with nature something. And I'm like, I was thinking about something I wanted to create, which was a trip in the Himalayas with a bunch of CEOs, maybe a very hard 12-day trek with spirituality, maybe some psychedelics, maybe not, but something that I would pay money for. But as a business, no drive. I didn't feel the drive that I felt in nature, training in nature, climbing, running, doing mountain biking in nature. And all of a sudden it just it dropped. I was just thinking about it. And also I was like, holy cow, I'm supposed to protect that nature. There was this ha moment. And I'm like, what? I'm like, had this, it makes me want to cry. It was this realization of that I've never felt like that. I mean, I've always felt in the past, okay, everybody knows you have to protect nature, but it was just this taking this full ownership of oh no, I have to do it. I have to be the driver, no matter what, no matter if there is a company or not, or government. I said, I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the driver. And I was like, is that what it is? And the voice was like, my inner voice was like, that's it. I'm like, no way, is that what it is? And it was just like this. And that was the start. And I went into Nature Conservancy. From that point on, changed my entire life from one day to the other at full speed. It was amazing. It was a very interesting process to discover it and live it. I was like, oh my God, finally found it. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very powerful story.
Yeah. It was. Still is.
Yeah.
It still makes me super emotional.
Yeah, and so now that's part of what you do. You were talking about deforestation and
Yes, so what was interesting is that I had this climate tech company that contacted me out of the blue. Like, it was just weird because there's nothing on my profile that said reforestation. It was all commercial real estate, business, business, business. And this guy, you know, calls me and he's like, hey, you know, we have this company, we have these biotechnologies that regenerate soil very fast, and we regrow complete forest with biodiversity at scale in the Amazon. And we're doing this by employing the people who own the land, and we're making them partners. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. Like, you know, like I wasn't even through my process yet. And I remember one thing, this guy that was on the screen, that was a Zoom call, you know, it was very nerdy, like not the type of person I would normally be drawn to. But this guy was speaking with so much passion. I looked at him and I was like, oh my God, this is me when I'm passionate. And that's when I realized that I had lost true passion for something. And that's also when I realized that my drive was coming from doing something that was above me. Because most of my life I was like, okay, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Always trying to figure out like an angle, the survival mode essentially. And for once, it was something that was way above me. And that was exciting.
Sounds exciting.
That is exciting.
Great. I love that. I mean, I can sit here and talk all day. We do have to wrap up. If we can wrap up, there's two more things. Number one, just a quick recap of what steps someone can take. So we talked about gaining clarity.
So getting clarity, get clean, get into nature, and then ask yourself the right questions. And spend enough time within yourself, by yourself, to really answer those questions. Give yourself the time to actually do the work.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you for recapping that. And for the final question is, what would you say is the biggest, value that you've gotten out of coming to these events? I saw you at the Golden Future Party. I know we just got here to this event, but what do you see as a speaker, as a thought leader in this space? What do you get out of these events?
Yeah, so I think the community, number one, is very interesting. You have like people who are leaders, thought leaders, spiritual leaders, leaders in business, and there's a common ground in terms of intentionality and great connections, great speeches. I learned a lot the last time. And then Jeff and Jackson's are just amazing souls, very powerful guys, very consistent in delivering something that really is meaningful for the society here. So really I'm excited to do work with them. I've known them for quite some time now, but not under a different side of Aurea, but this is an all other ball game. So I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you.